So in this video, I'm going to share how we as Americans and really the world got on this low-fat diet. It really started in the 50s and even into the 60s and really started gaining traction in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Even to today, the shelves in supermarkets are loaded with low-fat options. You can barely find milk that none of the fat has been taken out. All the yogurt seems to be low-fat, no fat. And I gotta say, at face value, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, okay, Americans are overweight, we're obese, we're fat, and so eating fat would therefore make you fat. But what we're actually finding is that is not true, and it was based on a lot of bogus science that came out of the 60s and even into the 70s, and then more so. But I want to share these pieces of information from you about what the sugar industry had done and it continues to do to influence research, including medical journals and medical papers, much like the cigarette industry did with regard to cigarettes probably back in the 40s or 50s. So I just pulled some data, we'll go through this. But look, right off the bat, the sugar industry withheld or terminated fundings for studies that showed negative effects of sugar on health. That they already knew that sugar caused increased triglycerides, those are the bad fats, and increased risk of bladder cancers. The sugar industry just shut them down. They never got published. Number two, the sugar industry funded and guided research in the 50s and 60s that downplayed the role of sugar in causing, get this, heart problems, coronary heart disease, and other health risks, including heart attacks, strokes, obesity, and peripheral neuropathy. But they instead shifted the blame over to saturated fat and cholesterol. And what we really did is we ended up making saturated fats and cholesterol the bad guy and took the light off sugar and shined it over here to something else. Because guess what? The sugar industry wanted to make money. So the sugar industry collaborated with scientists of the day like Frederick Stair and Mark Hegstead from Harvard, right? Anything that comes out of Harvard by a doctor, a medical research paper, must be good. So they collaborated with science, meaning they paid them to publish reviews that selectively cited studies that supported their agenda while ignoring or dismissing studies that implicated sugar. The sugar industry also influenced the National Institute of Dental Research to adopt a research program that did not recommend reducing sugar intake as a way to prevent cavities, despite evidence that sugar was a major factor. Instead, the sugar industry promoted alternatives like fluoride in the water and vaccination. How about that? It's not sugar, it's not sugar. Let's get some vaccines, let's get fluoride in the water. That's what's going to prevent our dental caries or cavities. Totally sick, right? And then the next one that I pulled up, I wanted you to see, the sugar industry's manipulation of scientific evidence and public policy had lasting impacts on the dietary guidelines and public health. It says for decades, we're in 2023 and I still see the shelves loaded with low-fat junk products. See, the problem is when you take normal fat out, you still need to have calories as a human or any animal. We still have to have calories. So what happens? You get rid of the fat, you increase the carbs. Okay, low fat, high carbs. And what I say on this channel is that it's the carbs, the high carbohydrates and sugars. Now, I'm not talking about the carbohydrates with fiber, things like broccoli and salads and lettuce and apples and things like that. We're not talking about things that are already made in nature. I'm talking about processed foods like breads and pastas, bagels, rice. All those things come as, particularly white rice, all those things come in as high carbs, starchy foods that the body takes, converts into sugar. Too much sugar, the liver takes it and converts it into fat. Fat is energy storage. So when we eat fat, it takes the body a long time to break this fat down, and the slow conversion of fat into different forms like triglycerides or things that we store inside of our body. It'll store it as fat, and some of it may store it as glucose as well, but it's not really what you eat that matters. It's really what your body does with what you eat. And it turns out that sugar and carbs are the culprits to most of our conditions, especially what I focus on here, peripheral neuropathy. So here's my tip for the day. Cut the carbs, add fat. What? I add fat? It's opposite of what we think. Look toward the keto diet, the paleo diet, or eating as naturally as you can, but cutting the carbs, cutting the sugar. When I go to the store, I specifically do not look for low fat, I go for high fat. If I do dairy, it's going to be as fat as I can possibly get it. When I drink my coffee, and I know you're going to be giving me comments, what? That's crazy. Cream, heavy cream, as fat as I can get. That's what I'm putting in my coffee. So I hope this helps. I really look forward to hearing your comments. Cut the fat, cut the sugar, cut the carbs, and watch yourself lose the fat. Please put comments below about how your dietary changes made a difference for you. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to teaching you more soon. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like it by hitting the thumbs up button down below. Also, you can share it with a friend or family member by hitting the share button. That's the little arrow at the bottom of the video. You might also want to subscribe to the channel. What you're going to do there is hit the little button at the bottom right side of the video. That way, when new content comes out, you'll be the first to know. Lastly, please comment. I'd love to hear your comments. I will read it and I will respond. Thank you and have a great day.